How you doing today? Hi, Tony and John and Alexi. Hey, Big Sal, how you doing? Well, as always, let me check. Is the sound okay? I've got a new microphone, and I'm trying to see if how it works. It's the one I had before is like that. Hi, Troy. Tony. I tell you, my I what I did is that right in front of me, the sun right in here, and I got a sun flash, a little trying to see straight. So okay. Thanks, John. Hi, Flippin' Zippo. Um, oh boy. Uh, Today, what I want to talk about is that I had on my FP Journe chronometer resonance yesterday. And hi, Dominic. And I realized I couldn't afford it. I mean, it's really funny. I got it about, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, something like that. And uh, hey, Clyde, how you doing? And I went to a place where Federico told me not to go to buy watches. This is on 47th Street in New York City, in an area that's called the Diamond District. And the anyway, he said, well, anyway, so I got two FP Journes, great deals on them. Had them checked out by the FP Journe boutique, make sure that they weren't stolen and so forth. So had them ever since. And the this morning, I thought, well, let's see how they gone up because they had gone up from what I paid uh, almost literally tenfold. So they were like $250,000 the other day, and today I found they're up at 300,000. Just crazy prices and so forth. And so, but I realized that in looking at my collection, I couldn't afford a lot of those. Some other ones I bought that were just on a sort of a flash in the pan. I got the what was it? The Urban Jurgensen. I got Urban Jurgensen. I couldn't afford Urban Jurgensens. They sold all of their old stock because the company was sold to Kari Ruotsalainen and some other investors, and that was just a fluke. So really happy that I got that. But now, it's so many of these things. You look at them, you turn around, and they're way up. Now, the thing that really rattled me, oddly enough, is a watch that I probably won't buy, but it's sort of one I've always sort of liked, and that's the Rolex Air King, the one with the Bloodhound dial. And the list price used to be, I think, right around 5,000, maybe even like 490, something like that. It wasn't bad. Just this is just a couple years ago, maybe just a year ago. So I wanted to take a look at it this morning. It was $7,000. Jesus, these things, every all of these prices are going nuts. And you know, I know the pandemic has driven prices up with everything. And that's because there weren't enough products made because people were sick and people were isolated and so on and so forth. And so, it's very much of a supply and demand issue. And demand was constant, the supply went down, and the prices went up. Not a surprise. I don't think there's an economist in the world who would be surprised by that. But the couple questions I wanted to kick around with you guys is the one: are they coming down? Are they will they be more affordable, really? And a lot of these, and by affordable, I'm talking about relative, very much of a relative thing. I mean, somebody uh watch for 2,000 bucks may not be affordable, but for most collectors, we're not responsible people, are responsible for our actions. You we'll spend money we shouldn't to buy a watch, but that's another story. So anyway, is that when you look at your own collection and you realize you couldn't afford it today, something's up. So I wanted to talk about that with you guys. Um, hey, Patrick. Hey, Dom. You were in the Diamond District. You got my Grail watch, 40 years in the making for my 60th birthday. Man, that's a great place. I mean, like I said, Federico said, "Don't go there." Like, what are they going to do? Hold me up by my heels and, and jiggle out every last cent I have? They'll certainly try. Hi, hater. How you doing? Um. Anyway, hey, Matt. Uh. See anybody? Okay. Hey, Bapa. What a cool name. Um, anyway, so I can go on. Okay, is used to be buying a piece brand new from AD for MSRP was a noob mistake. Now it's a bad, it's a boss move. Yeah, I know. It's really crazy. I mean, somebody, FP Journe is already sold out for 2022. Here we are. I mean, this was true back in November or actually October. When I went to the FP Journe boutique in October of 2021, they said they weren't going to have new watches until 2023. So this is another thing. By the way, too, some companies have made really interesting, good changes. One company, it's one of my favorite, is H. Moser at Company. They they had some really good watches. I mean, really excellent watches. They still do, but I mean, I forgot they had these funky names for them. It didn't help. But um, two that I have, one is the old Endeavor Center Second, and the other is the double hairspring. And originally they were hefty prices, but they didn't do too well, and so I was able to find some huge discounts on them. Now, what H. Moser has done that I think is very good on many levels is that they come out with new watches that are actually more what I'll call reasonably priced. They're under 20,000. Um, they have a more appealing variety and so forth. So, I mean, there are companies who are turning around that way, and in a way, it's bad for collectors like me who wait until the bottom drops out and then picks them up at a bargain price. I don't think you can do that anymore because they did it by lowering their prices with certain models, and now those models sold out. So there's some interesting things that may seem counterintuitive that work. The other one is, of course, Parmigiani Fleurier. There's still some of those around, and why they haven't been snatched up, I don't know. But they've got a new boss, the guy who was the head of uh, Bulgari has taken over, and he turned Bulgari around. Uh, and so you're supposed to do the same thing with Parmigiani. The guy running Parmigiani, I think, was Michel Parmigiani to some extent, and he made all of the decisions, or at least important ones. And to me, that was great because here you have a watchmaker running a watch company. Well, business wise, it's not always the best thing. Marco Lang is a good example. Here's this guy making these incredibly good watches and sort of was forced out of his own company because of the economics of it. Anyway, so we're in a situation now where will the prices come down? Well, they might. I mean, H. Moser, I think, wasn't so much well, maybe the prices did come down, but they came out with new models that were quote more affordable. These a lot this has to do with simply having a steel model of the ones that had always been in gold or platinum. Um, Let me tell you a story. I think I've told this story before, so bear with me. About 4 or 5 years ago, there was this guy. I had my resonance, and he found one in Spain, and it was 32, 34,000, something like that. And he wanted to know, he asked me, is that a good deal? And I said, yeah, the one that he found was a platinum resonance with the brass plating on the movement. Those things, they just made a handful of them, one hand full, and they're worth a fortune. And this guy in Spain, this dealer there was, he had them for sale. And I think he had them for like 36 or something like that, $36,000. And the guy asked me, and I always tell him, of course, you negotiate no matter what it is, you know. And, and so I think he negotiated down to 32 or 34, something like that. Sent the guy a $5,000 deposit. He was on his way to Basel World, I think, when I used to have that. And so he was going to stop by probably Madrid. He's going to stop by, pick it up, and then go on to Basel World. Well, he got there, and the guy jacked up the price. Um, I think it was like, let's say it was 34, and the guy said, no, it's 38. And the guy he was livid. Like, come on, what are you guys doing? I sent a deposit and so on and so forth. The guy said, okay, here's your deposit back. Adios. And now the guy could have shelled out 38. Had he done so, those watches are north of $300,000 now. But at the time, the guy I don't blame him. I mean, the guy was just really mad at somebody ripping him off like that. And the dealer said, oh, well, that was a clerk who gave you the price and everything like that. It was malarkey that they had. But it's ironic that, here's this guy that trying to rip somebody off. So if he sold it for 38, he got ripped off because now it's like 10 times as much. Okay, that's a goofy story. Hey, Matt, how you doing? Tim, hi, Tim. Hi, lease time. Mark, hi, Mark. Okay, let's see, Alexi. Okay. Okay, yeah. All right, Mark. Yeah, Mark. They're doing all kinds of crazy stuff. Hard to say about Dominic. Hard to say about prices. Information technology is helping with the upward movement. Someone sees their similar watch sells for X, so when they offer it, it just isn't. They just list it for the least X. What's been happening more and more, and this is interesting. If you go to some place like Chrono 24 to get a watch, and they have a lot of these things that are call for price. Okay, now what they're doing to call for price, people, they got a watch up for sale, and they're looking at the market. Okay, and so when they put it up for sale, we'll say that the watch they want to sell is $20,000. And so while they have it on the market, they see it go up to 25,000. And so with a call for price, when somebody calls us, oh, it's 25 instead of 20, which was what they put it in as. I mean, this is how fast things are going up. And you'll notice with some of the higher end watches, you've seen more and more of that on things like Chrono 24. Guys on eBay, I haven't seen it on eBay. Hey, Amoeba. William, good to see you. Truman, hello. Pepsi, hi. Geezer, hi, Geezer. Tums, how are you? How is everyone? Okay, Jonathan, hi, Jonathan. Happy New Year to you, too. Hi, Lee. It's Lee from Frackin' Gulch. Good to see you, Lee. Okay, eBay has offered me money off my best deals. Is that normal for other eBay customers? I don't know, Lee. What was the deal on that you got that they offered you money off? You mean like if if something is listed at 2,000, they'll give it to you for 1,500? Is that it, or what is it? Hi, Salmon. How you doing? Anyway, um, these things. Well, I guess the question is, if we can't afford our own watches, like, there's sort of going to be a time when the pandemic will be over. Okay, well, the okay, Lee, thanks. Um, there'll be a time when the pandemic's over, the production will be back and working and so on and so forth. And the question is that will the prices ever come down again? Now on the secondary market, you don't know right now because on the secondary market, you can get a better deal on the secondary market. I think the rancher pointed that out is that if you go to an AD, you can probably get a better deal than on the secondary market because on the secondary market, you can get it today, whereas at the AD, you'll be on a waiting list, but it'll be a lot longer. Right now, if you want an FP Journe, you get it on a waiting list starting sometime in 2023. May have gone up to 2024 by now. And I think some other brands, the same thing is true. I know that I mentioned H. Moser, the green dial H. Moser, I think it's called the Streamline H. Moser center seconds with a green dial, which one I really like. There's a waiting list on that. Now, this is something I think is relatively new for H. Moser. They never had waiting lists before, but they've made some, I think, smart changes, and they're going to be doing well. Smart in two ways. The prices aren't insanely crazy. One of the reasons is that they've provided more steel models, and they're still good quality, very good quality. Hey, Solus watches. uh, thanks, man. Um, hey, Sven. Uh, or is it Steven or Sven? Either one. How you doing? As a new watch aficionado, here that can't afford anything, what I'm hoping for is price eventually come down. Yeah, there are some places though that still have great prices. I keep going to a place called the Watch Outlet, and more I go back and you look at a brand of watch they have for sale, and every one of them is sold out. But there's still some Parmigianis left. I'm surprised, man. God, how can those still be left? Because I've known a lot of people who've got some there. But that's one little sort of not the hidey hole that it used to be. And every now and then, ones that are not known for giving great discounts, decent prices, but not really big discounts like Del Rey. Del Rey has fair prices, I think, and I think you can talk with them. I believe we'll see. But they were the ones that were selling all of these Urban Jurgensens for these great prices. The only thing that surprised me is that by the time I got to them, they only had a few left. They had 10. I think they had 4 left. I got 2. Another guy got 1. And there were only 2 left. They took our 2 or 3 left, and they took forever to sell them. They finally did. But these are watches that were really fantastic watches for uh, right around half price. And those things pop up every now and then. I don't know. I tell you, a watch company that I think might be one to keep an eye on. Um, Years ago, when I didn't know any better, I thought that the 2 best watch companies were Breitling and Tag Heuer. And the reason for that is that when I used to fly, I'd go in and at the FPO, they'd have those watches for sale and a bunch of stuff about for pilots. And oh, this is great. It's funny, I didn't think they were affordable back then, but we'd spend thousands on avionics or something for the airplane, but a watch was, who'd spend that much money on a watch? It was a really weird kind of mindset. Now it's the opposite. Um, but what happened with Tag Heuer is Carol somebody Kasapi. She created 37 new movements for Cartier. Won the best watchmaker of the year, or the best watch. They just had her down back in I think it's 2012. Now she left Cartier as the head of movement production there. I went over to Tag Heuer. Now, Tag Heuer has been nursing the same ETA, call them what you want, movements for years now. And so she's going over there, and she may be coming out with something really interesting. I'd really like to. So that's one company that may have some relatively reasonable prices with some very interesting movements because she's extremely good. And we'll see. I think the Calibre de Cartier was one in 1906. Some of those that she developed, that might be one. Um, Geo has some bargains if you eschew the CQ. I like the CQ from Glashütte Original. Hey, world traveler, moving from Seattle, what makes a good watch? I don't mean from a popularity point of view. I can tell what good building architecture is like. What is a good car, luxury car, is like. Oh, that's an easy question, Trevor, because we all agree what a good watch is. There's, I don't know. Here's the thing to me: constant force in a mechanical watch. That's to me is, and if they do anything about addressing constant force for everything from a fusee and chain to double barrels and parallel to remontoir egalite, those kinds of things. They're rare, they're expensive, and but if you can find something that the watchmaker is really addressing that problem other than stuffing in silicon so it's not magnetic, I think it might be something to look for. Um, yeah, everything's been shooting up in prices. There was some, yeah, yeah, even um, Daniel Roth and Roger Dubuis, uh, Rancher pointed that out. Even those shot up in price, talking about doubles, boom, doubled in price. It's just like, come on, you guys. For years, you could, pick those things up. This is from the early 2000s when Roger Dubuis and Daniel Roth had their own companies. A lot of this movement, especially in the Daniel Roth, were some kind of complication he put on top of an ETA or some other movement like that. And I told you that. With Roger Dubuis, it was he had this crazy partner, or at least people thought he was nuts, sort of. Um, but he had really good movements, fantastic movements in his watches, and but they suddenly just like I said, doubled in price, just kaboom. They were one price, and suddenly they doubled. And for years, you could get an easy diver for probably around $3 or $4,000, and now they're 10. I mean, it's crazy. Um, Cartier, the Caliber driver is amazing watch with a nice in-house. Yeah, Alexi, that Caliber de Cartier was one that was built by Casapi. Another one. They're not cheap, unfortunately. Is a Lang and Hein. Those are before Marco Lang left. He had like 6 or 7 calibers that he made, and the ones like in the Georg, you could see the entire had these little finger bridges for each one of the going train gears. I mean, just really amazing kind of stuff. When he left, they haven't exactly. The only thing they've done was that Marco Lang designed a movement for UWD called the 33.1, and they came out with a 33.2. Instead of having a small seconds, they put it in as a center seconds. It took some uh, I think a little heavy lifting in terms of doing that, but that's something new. On the other hand, Marco Lang started his own watch company, comes out with a watch, a waiting list on that watch, and even if you're on the list, you better have something north of $50,000, probably north of 70. So it's sort of a weird kind of thing. I like the guys that try to come out with something that is more affordable, but not by Vianney-Halter has a watch that he did with I forgot the name of the company. That usually very reasonably priced company, and now those things are on auction houses for triple and so on and so forth. Somebody sees Vianney-Halter or uh, a, a Ahsoka, one of those. And all they've done is they've done a dial. They've done a dial design or something like that, and that's it. And people are paying huge amounts of money for those things. I mean, well, huge amounts relative to, come on, you got a basic, simple movement in there. And then you've got sort of one of these big names touches it. Um, but, the people say, hey, look at my V&E Halls. Partial to white. Let's see. Hey, brand headlights. How are you? Okay. Uh, I heard silicon manufacturers have a hitman looking for Bill. They'd never find me. I'd go to some place like Frack and Gold. Nobody can find anybody there. Uh, okay, let's see. Can you see the future in market based on prices at ADs? Dominic, well, that's a good question. And I just don't know. I think I bought one watch from an AD, and that was pre-owned, and he happened to be an AD. This is he was an AD for Harry Winston, and there's some collector who had one Harry Winston because his initials, the collector's initials, were HW, and he got another one. He bought another one from the same guy, but he wanted to trade in his old one because he only needed one, and that was the one I got, and so I got a really good buy on it. But that was like, for the most part, ads are like, yeah, their ads are what they are. um, there was some company, I think it was Audemars Piguet, who told their retailers, hey, you guys can charge whatever you want, and they have been, and so the price, crazy going up. Um, hey, Mason. I'm wondering how much Urban Jurgensen will increase in value after Kerry's takeover. Well, they won't increase in value 1 cent, but they may increase in price. We'll see what happens. Really, the price of, I mean, the value of a watch has to do with the quality of materials, construction, and movement, and so on and so forth. And if you if you know that, like this watch, even though it's gone up 10 times what I paid for it, it really hasn't gone up one iota in terms of value. It's the same value. To me, it was a very high value because it's a resonance, but the price is the price. Ooh, the Quadrille. Don't tell them about the Quadrille, rancher, because that's one that's in a hidey hole somewhere that I might get. That's a good one. Yeah, there was this is a really funny watch. In 2016, when uh, Vacheron Constantin came out with their new overseas, they had this beautiful movement in it. I think it's called 5100 movement they put in. And they did a lot of work on really reading all about the development of it, and what they did is just amazing. Really, so this incredible movement is in the 2016 plus overseas. The way you can spot them is that they have 6 horns instead of 8 around them. So, piece of trivia there. But the thing is that came out with another one at the same time called the Quadrille. And the Quadrille, that particular Quadrille, had the same movement in it, but it had I think, a ruthenium, what do you call it, rotor, instead of a gold one like the overseas, okay? But the same movement, significantly less. Nobody liked them except me, and so I know where one is, and it's like, it looks like a pretty good deal, and it's been there for a while, so, uh, that's one of those watches that I would like to have because of the movement, but I might be able to get it yet. I'll see. I'm gonna sell a few watches because if you got any watches you're not using, boy, this is a great time to sell them. And I sell them on at auction houses like Sotheby's and Christie's and so forth. People go nuts. They get bidding. Well, I'm going to outbid you. And you end up with, God, you walk off with a bundle. I ended up with one watch I had that I knew I was going to have a hard time selling, and ended up with getting twice as much as I paid for it. I mean, it just was this. People went nuts on an auction. Go figure. Um, You know, least time and some of the other guys, there was a line of watches made by Jaeger-LeCoultre called uh, geophysics. Okay, and they got rid of the whole line. Why I don't know. And I think some of them were sort of morphed into some of the other lines they had, but those they had some really cool watches in that. And I think on the used market, you may be able to find some good deals on those because they were sort of like a watch nerd would love them, but apparently, Joe Blow, who wants a watch to wear to work every day, didn't. Yeah, that's a good point. Hey, Tuna, how you doing, man? Uh, what's the best deal in horology will be in 2022? What I think is whatever I get for the watches I sell. I don't know what's coming out in 2022. Oh, wait a minute. There's one watch, so I can't talk about that is going to be a huge deal, but I'll be able to talk about it in June, but not right now. Hey, Tanzel, how you doing? Oh, 2 words, Rolex, huh? Oh, how original. Thanks, Tanzeel. Okay, let's see. Hey, guest. Uh, there's some AP and VC Calatravas that are kind of affordable, starting around 3,500 euro. You know, 2798 guest. I had a Calatrava from 1968 that I sold recently, and I did it. It was ended up almost like a one-to-one sale, and pretty much got what I paid for it. Maybe just a little more, not much more. Uh, but I think if the thing about especially anything in Patek Philippe before 2009, I really like. I mean, I think because that was before they started stuffing them with silicon, and there are some good buys on some of those, but you got to be careful to get a good one. The one I had it was a good one, but one of the things with some of the older Patek Philippe's, like the Calatrava, is that they're a little smaller. You end up with like mine was 33 millimeters, something like that. Wasn't very big. I also had an older AP that was relatively small, and I just didn't like it and ended up trading it in. Don't trade watches in, sell them, and then go buy a watch, but don't use them for trade in right now. You get way more. What about Trelobe? Um, I don't know. I was reading some stuff about Trelobe, Thomas, and forgot what it was. A lot of people really like him, and I didn't. The thing I was looking at was a movement, and I'm not quite sure what it was. Um, Oh god. The watch flipper. Flipper used to be, my favorite show, yeah. I tell you, that's one thing, um, here's the crazy thing about being a flipper right now, a watch flipper, is that when you sell something, even if you do well relative to what you paid for a watch, when you go to get another watch, you're not gonna do so well. Um, if you have a watch that you like right now, to me is would be to hang on to it because you're not gonna be able to sell it and get something equivalent for the same price. I don't think, anyway. Well, listen, I am way out of time. My timekeepers are asleep at the wheel. So I gotta run. Hi, Rune. I don't know, Rune, maybe. Hey, Dana. I have a Grand Seiko 25th anniversary. Uh, okay, doke, guys. Listen, this stupid coronavirus has turned another thing with Omicron. You really got to stay safe. It just, man, Connecticut is like a super safe place, but there's the hospitals are filling up, even with high rate of vaccinations and everything else. So be really careful. Get a good mask if you're going to go out. This ought to be over. I'm hoping the worst part by around March. We'll see. We're also told that this may be bad for it may be like an every year we'll get a new thing of COVID-19 that's really going to be more like the flu, and so we're going to have to, like you get a flu shot every year, you have to get a COVID shot every year. I don't know. We'll see what happens. I wish it would go away. Just leave us alone. Everybody take care, be safe, and if you're around this afternoon, we'll chat some more. Take care. 4 o'clock, New York time.